I taught English in Turkey actually for a year. But to be honest, terrorist incidents happen everywhere in the US. My host mom, she spoke with me in Kazakh. I racially profiled people, so I would try to talk to people who looked Kazakh, Didn't know much Kazakh, so I hit the hood of the car and I yelled, "Zhok." She doesn't pay them that much because they're
It's okay. I don't hate you anymore.
He was trying to convince me that Christianity is Judaism 2.0, new and improved.
Yeah, but he told us that he's pork eating, easygoing Jew, sort of. Or if you can build a business in Kazakhstan, you can do it anywhere in the world.
Hey guys everyone, so welcome to our first episode of our Jetil Podcast, and we're here with our guests today, our stable, usual participants, I would say, guests, Alex, right here, from San Diego, and also our second guest is Aydos, and he's from Shanghai. Oh, I'm sorry, Beijing. I'm sorry. So yeah, this is a kind of podcast where we're gonna talk about different stuff, no limits, no, basically nothing. So basically we're gonna talk a lot about, as today we've decided to talk about our impressions, our first experience visiting foreign countries. Alex is going to share how was his first impression visiting Kazakhstan, and we're going to share about our experience visiting Japan, China, and other countries. So welcome everyone, and we're about to start. Let's our guests introduce themselves first. Okay, Alex, a couple of words to you. How do you feel today?
I feel great.
You feel great?
Yeah.
Well prepared for this kind of table talk?
I'm prepared for nothing. Should I introduce myself? So my name's Alex. I'm from San Diego, California. I'm a PhD student in social anthropology at Harvard, and I'm in Kazakhstan doing research, theoretically.
Great. Which year is that? How long have you been here for?
I've been here since November. Yeah.
So it's not that long?
It's a year-long, year-long grant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. And our second guest, Aydos, please introduce.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Aydos. I'm I'm from Kazakhstan, but I was born in China. So yeah, I've lived in Beijing for over 10 years. That's why I'm a Beijing man now. Sorry, we had a short conversation and a good laugh earlier, so that's why I'm trying to stay focused. Welcome once again to the first and for now the only podcast in English. And like Alex said, so we're ready for nothingness. We don't limit ourselves. We don't have the subject today.
Let's get started.
Let's get started.
So basically, I got a question for you guys. The first question will probably go to Alex. Alex, tell us a little bit about how did you end up here, in Kazakhstan? What the heck is going on? You were been studying in Harvard, and did you choose your field, Central Asia, or how did you end up here?
Yeah, I did choose it. It's a very complicated story. I taught English in Turkey actually for a year. I lived in the center of Turkey in a town called Kırıkkale. Which is an hour and a half outside of Ankara. And while I was there, I actually did some other stuff after, and I decided I wanted to go back to graduate school and get a PhD. I was enjoying helping my friends with their applications and stuff, and thought, you know what, I miss this lifestyle. So. And so when you apply to the PhD program, you have to write an essay detailing what your potential dissertation project will be. And mine was on Turkey. I was interested, I have a degree in linguistics. I'm into, especially there's a subfield of anthropology called linguistic anthropology. So as I was interested in, actually Turkey has a number of dialects. In my city, they spoke a dialect, which was, people tend to look down on it. But it's interesting because the dialect sounds more like Azerbaijani. Like they say, like a typical joke is they say like Ankara instead of Ankara.
So it's like...
Or Gırıkale, yeah.
It's like pretty close to our Kazakh.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so it's closer, it's a little bit closer to like Central Asian Turkic languages. And so my project, I was interested in looking at, different types of speakers, but I still wrote that I was going to work in Turkey. But when I entered grad school, there were some political issues that the U.S. was having with Turkey at the time. And well, actually, that happened a little bit later. At that time, there were some terrorist incidents in Istanbul.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah. Was it in a club or something?
Yeah, in Taksim. Was it around like 2012 or 11?
I thought it was in Sultanahmet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, right next to the mosque.
2014 or
14,
2015. Yeah, something like that. But to be honest, terrorist incidents happen everywhere in the U.S. We have our fair share of violence. So that wasn't a real reason. The real reason is that I decided I actually didn't want to go to Turkey anymore. I enjoyed my time there, but my project was based in like central Anatolia. And while I learned a lot, I didn't think I wanted to spend time there further. Even though in the US, PhD programs are very long, they're still theoretically limited. So I decided if I'm going to switch countries, I need to find a place where I could learn the language more quickly. And so I decided, well, since I already speak some Turkish, hopefully another Turkic language would be easier for me to learn. So I looked at a map and well, I was really interested in like Tuva, but I heard it's a little rough out there, and plus it's in Russia. And Kazakhstan was the biggest country on the map. So I figured there would be a lot of opportunities, second longest border in the world with Russia. There's Chinese. I studied Chinese as an undergrad, so I thought maybe there was some border stuff happening there. I just thought that there'd be a lot of opportunities. And so I decided I was going to come to Kazakhstan.
Why didn't you choose, I'm curious about the thing with, for example, if you were already studying Turkish, the Uzbekistan would be a great option, I think, or Azerbaijan.
That was also politically difficult to do research in Uzbekistan. Yeah. And Azerbaijan, I don't know why I didn't choose it, but it's small, I think. I think maybe it's small, yeah.
Good. I mean, so what do you do here basically nowadays? Like we've heard that you in the Kazakh language and you're studying.
Yeah. So it's a lot of it's a little funny when I tell people about what anthropologists do because it sounds not very scientific, I guess. But basically, the main method of anthropology is called ethnography. You could also call it participant observation. Yeah. So basically, you're supposed to actually talk to people and participate in different activities. And the whole goal is like, rather than other disciplines which try to remove the researcher from the data, in this case, it's like, you know what, that's actually, it's always inevitable that there's someone researching. So instead, why don't we like make that open? And instead you try to figure out like, how is my presence and who I am affecting how people interact with me.
That's right. Yeah. That's cool.
In that case, it sounds like, I don't know, Alex got his story straight,
Yeah, and it's pretty clear. Like
it's very clear.
We had a lot of practice in the State Department training.
Whoever prepared this story for you. Yeah. But I think it's a perfect choice that you chose Kazakhstan, because you see Kazakhstan is a sort of a transit zone, like you said, the borders.
Was there any disappointment when you first came to Kazakhstan, or like something you didn't expect to see from here?
Yeah, so before I went to Kazakhstan, the only post-Soviet country I'd been to was Georgia. When I lived in Turkey, I went along the Black Sea through Turkey, came out of there's a town called Ani, which has some Armenian ruin stuff. So that was the only post-Soviet country I'd been to. And in Georgia, it seemed like all the young people spoke Georgian to each other. And there were some older people, there were some signs in Russian, but my kind of naive impression was that this was this was how all post-Soviet countries were. So I was expecting to come, sure, like in Kazakhstan, some people would speak Russian, probably older people. But in general, 30 years after the fall of the Soviet Union, I could get by with Kazakh. And so the immediate impression was, I was completely wrong about the language situation. Also, as Americans, we know extremely little about the former Soviet Union. So I was like, oh shit. And there were a lot of places. So at my first summer here, I lived with a host family. In Kazakhstan, in Kompot. Zvereva Street.
What was it? Was it like a Russian family or Kazakh?
The Kazakh family, yeah. But it was interesting. My host mom she's actually kind of a grandmother, Ajay. She spoke with me in Kazakh. And her daughter also it's a chastny dom, so her daughter lives there with the family all talks to each other in Russian. But they had to speak with me in Kazakh, which was like really weird for them because they spoke to each other in Russian and I'm not Kazakh. So like it was clearly like uncomfortable for them to do that. So, and then also going out, into Almaty, I was like, I really can only speak shitty Kazakh or English with people. But I felt like I remember this was 5-6 years ago, like there weren't that many cool cafes at that time, but there was Nedelka. I was taking classes at KIMEP. And in Nedelka, I just felt weird speaking Kazakh to them. Like I could tell. And then I started to like this summer.
What was the reaction? I'm really interested in that. Like you were not in Kazakh.
Yeah.
And then you probably look like a foreigner.
Yeah.
But not Russian.
Yeah.
You look like foreigner, and then you start speaking in Kazakh. How did you
Yeah, they were pretty. I mean, mostly they would just try to speak English. Nedelka? No, it's a cafe. Coffee house. Yeah, they were surprised. I mean, I also I racially profiled people, so I would like try to talk to people who looked Kazakh, rather. But that also, I didn't realize, like there was this guy at KIMEP who worked at the little coffee place there, and I would speak to him in Kazakh or try, and he didn't seem to know, he didn't know it. And so we sort of did some Google Translate. And I was like, oh my God, Uyat, this guy doesn't know Kazakh. And it turns out he's Korean. But I didn't know.
Still, I mean, come on.
I didn't know that there were, Koreans living here. So I just assumed that since he looked Asian, he was probably Kazakh. So the situation was a lot different.
But you learned that word, Uyat,
Yeah. Well,
which is good to use. I think you can look at straight at this person and just say shame on you. The other person who can say it.
This is probably a whole other conversation, but I don't think shame is an effective motivator for people. So I don't like to participate in that. But for Kazakh, I mean, it's a word that I learned very, very quickly.
Great.
Also with this type of thing. My host mother would do that a lot. Yeah. Also, she did this too, and I had no idea what it meant.
How about the youth? Did you notice that in area in Almaty, in Arbat, you go to Arbat and you see these young people, teenagers, mostly 15, 16 years old. They speak Kazakh, and I don't know this generation.
5 years ago, I feel like I myself have seen there's so much more Kazakh now in public, I think. Yeah. Than even 5 years ago, So I don't know. The other thing too, though, is funny is, I mean, now it's
the situation is changing, and you can actually notice it.
Yeah, and I know that the difference now is super obvious, but I was also trying to distinguish between people speaking Russian or speaking Kazakh because I knew so little Kazakh and I didn't know any Russian. Yeah. If someone was speaking quickly, I couldn't figure out what language they were speaking. So I don't know. I mean, that could be the case, but.
I'm interested about your case. I mean, you've been living in Beijing for 7 years?
For 10 years.
For 10 years. Yeah. And then you came to Kazakhstan. You got back to Kazakhstan. When was that? Like
It was 2015, 2015.
2015, you came back to Kazakhstan.
7 years ago.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Like, what was the situation at that time? Like, how was your impression? How
In the
was your
beginning,
experience?
I was super happy, to be honest, because after living in Beijing for about 10 years, you see this city, like a big, huge city like Beijing, you don't see these blue skies.
Yeah.
Probably you'll get to see in a year, maybe 30 days over blue sky. The rest is just, it's foggy and smog, and the pollution is crazy. So when I got back, I was super happy that Almaty was such a green city, and it was super cheap after China, and it was all organic food. You, wherever you go, cheap or expensive, you will have organic food. So that was the good part. I was very happy about this, but later on the mentality started to slowly. I've started noticing our mentality was super different, because I was an easygoing guy, trying to starting a new life in Kazakhstan now. But our people here they think and they operate, they live totally on a different level of energy. So that was the bad part, actually. But like you said, I'm starting to notice, starting to change. People it seems like the internet, I think it's mostly the internet is helping people to open their mind.
To know each other better.
Yeah, because
to be open-minded.
You have something, you must have something to compare, So I think in the next 5 to 10 years, Alex will start hearing a lot of Kazakh language, because I told you earlier, recently I got my friends from America and Vietnam. They came by. They came to Almaty, and they went to Arbat, and they noticed that the young generation, these teenagers, all were speaking Kazakh and riding these scooters and skateboarding, and they were dressed in such fashion, with the Kazakh traditional hats and jackets, a bit changed their own design.
They've noticed the changes, we could say. Yeah,
that was a good thing, yeah.
No, I was just wondering about the generations changing. I mean, because as you can see, the younger generation is growing up, and then the generation that used to be at that time, our parents basically, they're like getting older, and then it happens naturally. There is a saying. I mean, people used to say that we just need to live this period. We just need to be like patient towards the language and so on. It will change.
Like survive?
Yeah, not survive, but like we just have to get through this.
Eventually,
yeah. Eventually everything will change, and it concerning the language, the population, and so on. Because as you do remember, in the beginnings of the O's, like 2000s. The situation with the population itself was absolutely different. Like there were a lot of Russian people, and the situation, how Russian people used to treat Kazakh people also was different. And then it's changing nowadays. We have.
You see, anyone that's been born since 1991, right? They were born in an independent country.
Yeah.
So they grew up. They're not 30 years old. And those and the next generation that were born in 2000s, they're like totally different.
Those who were born in 10th are absolutely different.
They don't even know, like, why do we speak in Russian?
Yeah.
Like it's totally like they never experienced this, because we caught this this transition moment in our country's history, right? Because we know a little bit about the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Times, what were like, those times, and we know what's going on here. We had remember those phones, the Soviet Union, the phones.
Yeah.
How do you guys call them?
Oh, rotary phone.
The rotary
the one
phones.
that you have to.
Yeah, because if you show a kid now, they'll never believe.
Yeah.
If I show my daughter, she'll never believe that people used to call like that.
Yeah. They'll believe the glasses, though.
Yeah,
Those are still here.
Yeah,
that's right.
As you can notice.
Tell me this thing, Alex. So first you came here to Kazakhstan,
Yes.
and you told me about your first impression about the language. tell me, how was it, the situation? You came to Almaty, right? You came to Almaty. What did you like the most about our city? What did you like the most about the country, maybe? Oh, I do remember I asked you previous time about the worst and the best experience here. Like, could you share that, please?
Well, the best thing that didn't happen yet when I first came. The worst thing was I was crossing the street, and a driver didn't stop until in English you say he kissed me with the bumper of the car, and I was so pissed off because it's just it's disrespectful. But I didn't know any.
Does it really happen in the U.S.?
I mean, it happens, but people generally are, I don't know, a little bit like normally what happens is a driver will slow down to signal that they see you. You know, they're making an effort to show the pedestrian I'm aware of you, but here it's they'll maintain a speed, and I'm dude, I don't know if you're gonna stop or not, so I wait to see. But anyway, so I didn't know much Kazakh, so I just I hit the hood of the car and I yelled "Zhok," because that was the only negative word I knew at the time.
Literally negative.
It also just came out of me. I didn't think about it. It just was and I've never hit someone's car. I was just so pissed. I don't know why.
Well, what happened?
That was it. I just kept on walking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't stay around.
It was a reaction to the disrespect.
Yeah, I mean, and probably the guy driving was okay, that's fair. I almost ran him over.
He accepted it.
Yeah, it was flat palm, nothing.
But do you remember you were sharing another story, how you got converted to another religion? I mean, that's crazy stuff.
Well, I also learned Kazakhstan's fairly more complicated than I thought, because my host mother was actually Christian, evangelical Christian.
So this is the family you were living in?
Yeah, the family I was living in. She was evangelical Christian, part of a church run by Koreans. There's a lot of Korean missionaries here. And then she had 3 people who lived upstairs in their own, it's their own apartment, but they're part of the church. Yeah, they were renting it, but they're also part of the church. An Uyghur couple and a single mother, French translator.
Wow. They were in church? Part of the church? They were the part of the church. Also.
Yeah. And occasionally she would have guys come over they were doing remont on the yard. And I don't know if they were working for little pay. I mean, I heard their stories, they were former alcoholics, and I have a feeling they probably, she doesn't pay them that much because they're this is part of their recovery.
Therapy. That was a part of the therapy.
Free labor, yeah. So I came home, and so I also didn't know in Turkey. So we were talking about this earlier. I'm not religious, but my mom's Jewish, and I was raised very liberal Jewish, not very strict at all. My mom, it's actually not that important of a Jewish holiday, but because it comes around Christmas, Hanukkah is a celebration. And my mom, for instance, she liked to cook pork, a pork loin for Hanukkah.
Oh, well, yeah.
And Jews aren't supposed to eat pork, so I'm maybe for a holiday we don't eat pork, so not strict at all, but I had a bar mitzvah, which is when you turn 13 and you read from the Torah, which is the Bible equivalent. I had no idea what I was saying, but it was very, very chill.
You had all the procedures.
Yeah, all the procedures, yes.
Me and you might be related though, because you see, I'm from a Kazakh tribe called Naiman, so the Kazakhs usually,
You have your own procedures there,
We do have, and that's why you see, we got this connection with Alex.
Yeah,
I just
I've
knew
heard
that he was
joke.
related. We're related now. It's okay. I don't hate you anymore.
Yeah, anymore. Good.
Yeah. So what was that?
Oh yeah, so they knew I was Jewish, and when I was in Turkey though, I didn't tell anyone because I just wasn't sure how people would react. I mean, unfortunately, the state of Israel has been tied to Jewish people, even though many of us, like me, I don't support the state of Israel and I don't support what they're doing. But unfortunately, they try to make it seem like they speak for all Jews. So my students, because I was teaching, they had all these conspiracy theories about,
Oh man, in Turkey.
like for instance, Facebook, since the colors are blue and white, which is the color of the Israeli flag, and his name's Zuckerberg, that it's like an Israeli thing. And
It's like
it has nothing, like Zuckerberg is
all
like,
the stories write itself. So it's really funny because if you watch these videos on the internet, I used to for some time when I was like when I was like 21, 22, me and my brother used to sit down and watch a bunch of videos on YouTube, conspiracy theories. So like, wow, man, just see, Jews around the world.
Well, they told me, like, for instance, we have the Freemasons, and they said those and the Jews run the US, and I was like, Freemasons, I mean, now I don't know, but like for a long time, Jews were excluded from all sorts of like until even the 1950s was like the whole reason American university applications focus so much on like essays and like character is because Jews did so well in standardized tests, and the universities, the Ivy Leagues, didn't want Jews. So they changed the type of admission criteria to base on like other things.
So ENT is from the ENT system, like the we pass our examination of graduate school. How we say it, like ENT.
Yeah,
This is a local test.
Local test. We're just like kidding, of course.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird and like you're saying these videos, one of my students took me aside to show me a video, and she's like, this is proof. And it was like various clips from like The Simpsons, Family Guy, very dramatic music in the background, and then it would zoom in on a symbol and they'd like circle it in red. It's like Freemason symbol in the back. And I'm like, I've watched most of The Simpsons, and I'm like, that's the episode where Homer and Moe create their own secret society. I'm like, that's why there's secret symbols in it, because that's literally what the episode about. And she's like, no, teacher. She's like,
I think everyone goes through this phase of their life when they go into conspiracy theories for a while, and then you grow out of it.
They're reassuring, right? I mean, conspiracy theories make you feel like, I mean, even if things are shit, it's like at least somebody's controlling it. You know, at least there's a possibility, because the real truth, which is like incompetence is everywhere and like no one is like harder to deal with, you know, it's like refreshing. Anyway, that was a big digression. I didn't even finish my story, but.
Yeah, what about the story with the converting to another religion? How did it end up?
They knew that
with the conspiracy theory.
So they knew I was Jewish, and they were actually very excited because evangelicals have a weird relationship. And so one day I came home and they're like, Alex, we have a special guest for you. Or a special guest is here. And I'm like, okay. And we go upstairs, and there's a pastor from Korea and 2 Korean missionaries who came with him. And like, we sang songs about Jesus in Kazakh. It was fun because the Uyghur guy, he played the long dutar, yeah. So we sang some songs. It was fun. Everyone shared their conversion experience. And then he took me into a room to talk to me, and
he said, we need to convert this Jewish guy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was it. And but it's funny because he didn't speak Russian, so he had a translator. I didn't speak Russian, but I did speak some French. And so the French translator, she translated, so he would speak in Korean, Russian, French, and then I translated in my head, and we had this big back and forth where he tried to convince me.
It was the longest conversion ever.
It was like 2 hours, yeah.
So did you end up?
No, I told him, he was trying to convince me that like Christianity is like Judaism 2.0, like new and improved, like it's still great, but like, Jesus came along. And I honestly was not trying to troll, but I was like, why not go all the way to Islam then, if I'm going to convert. Like, I honestly wasn't trolling. I'm like, I'm willing to hear you out, but your logic just doesn't make sense. So, yeah.
Turning out as a Orta podcast.
So they failed.
They unfortunately failed. I let them down. Yeah.
It's really strange because it's very hard to convert a Jewish man or a Muslim. It's very hard.
But his like,
Yeah, but he told us that he's like pork eating, easygoing Jewish or whatever. Something like that. Yeah. Wow, I didn't know.
Did you leave that family then?
What?
Like, did you leave that family?
No, I kept living. Yeah, they were
You in
okay.
touch with them, your friends?
The next summer I saw them again, but then I didn't. I kind of lost touch. Mostly because it was kind of, my host mom was fine, but that woman who lived upstairs, she was really kind of pushy. So it was uncomfortable to.
Oh man, I hate that feeling when somebody trying to,
How do you
Push
say
the
like
things.
these words to put your?
they just step into your zone, bro. It's like,
You mean
it's
religious
a bit
people?
distance.
Yeah, not religious specifically, but when someone is trying to put their own views on you and
Pushy,
like, pushy.
Pushy, yeah.
Yeah.
Push them back, man. Pushing people back. That's it. Well, then I'm sure then. Is that you had funny stories, man? I'm so glad that you're safe and you didn't have nothing happened to you, because I'm always worried when foreigners are here and they call me. Oh, actually, I have this guy that I know from Beijing. He's here. I didn't know. He's from Egypt, and now he's married to a local Russian woman here.
And he's Arab.
Yeah, he's an Arab, and he's here in Almaty. And then I saw him like a few months ago in Almaty. I was like, why? I didn't see him for, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 years. I was like, why? What are you doing here? Like, I thought I was sleeping. I thought I was dreaming.
Yeah.
I was like, somebody pinched me, because I was like, why here? What? I didn't even know what to ask. I didn't know how to react. He's like, oh, I have a son and a wife here. I was like, wow, that's so strange. Okay, the world is so small. And yeah, before that, I was like willing to help. I was asking like, do you need help? Like, how did you end up here? Like, did you drop out of the plane? He was like, no, the situation. So Almaty? He's like, yes, of course. Like for the fourth time he had an ID, the green card type of.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's good. I was like, okay, good, go on, live your life. Like, you don't need me.
Yeah. Cool. That's cool. Okay, I was about to ask you the second question. I was coming on.
Yeah, let's go.
So
What do
it
you
was
need?
like, so you had an experience coming here, and tell me about your adaptation process. Like how we went, because you were living in 10 years in China. And what was the difference like?
Adaptation was so different, man. It's first.
But you told me that you were living during 90s here in Almaty.
I grew up here, right? I grew up here, and
16.
yeah, I left when I was 16. My dad said, you know what, go to China, because the next 20 years our economy is gonna depend on China. And he was right. I was so angry that he sent me to China. But when I came back, I was happy the first few months. We got married. I was like, money's about to finish. I said, let me get a job. Let me get a job. And then, man, I'm 25, 26.
Okay.
Yeah, 26. I was 26 when I came back. So, and then I learned our people here are so different. It's, I call them wolves, and I tell people, if you can survive or if you can build a business in Kazakhstan, man, you can do it anywhere in the world. Because the mentality here is different. It's so challenging, man. Like, you see, I got used to this thing in Beijing is, if you say an A is A, B is B. It's very simple. You see, I'm a foreigner in China, and I don't have any protection or some connections above me that protects me or something, or gives me way. I'm just a foreigner who speaks a good Chinese, good Mandarin, and I go and find a job, make some money, and living my life, and nobody touches me. And I can walk through Beijing 1, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, and nobody will touch me. It's so safe. So I got used to this thing, and if somebody tells you he'll do it, he'll do it.
Everyone is basically living their own life, so no one cares about it.
Yeah, it's so simple. When I came back, I didn't know, because I never worked in Kazakhstan. Our people are so different, because you you make a deal, because I do business with China, so I found some clients from China, bring them here. They come to Kazakhstan. We go. Let's say, for example, they buy a product from Kazakhstan. So I call this guy who owns the product. So it's your product. He says yes. Okay. Then my clients will come. I'll bring my clients. We go see your product. If everything's okay, we'll buy it. Okay. Yeah, we just agreed on this. And when the time comes, when my clients arrive, so let's go. I'm trying to drive to him, and at the end it ends up, the product doesn't belong to him, belongs to his wife's uncles, whatever, some relative, and then it's already sold, or it's it can't be sold because the bank owns them. It's so many. I don't even know how to explain to you, like this type of things, and nobody tells you.
You're not just prepared for them.
Yeah, you're not prepared, and people here tend to, if their friend or relative, they know someone, I don't know, maybe, or saw someone or took a glance at someone, they say they know him or know them. For instance, he might say, I met a guy, hey, I'm looking for this copper powder for my Chinese clients. He said, oh, my brother owns them. I got it. And then it turns out it's not his brother at all. It's his neighbor's, again, wives, brothers, friends.
What about, like, I know, like, Guangxi in China, don't they have the same kind of relationships of...
Yeah, some part of China they do. Man, if talking about scamming, you know, they have this some, because look at the population, billions.
Yeah.
If you're a Chinese scammer, you just need to scam 1 million people for $1 each. That's it. You're a millionaire. Just right there. It's super easy. But here, they don't scam you. They just lie to you for no reason. They don't want to let go of the chance to make money. They say, oh, I got it. And you just wait like an idiot. And you wait for them to reply to you, text you, ask them, hey, what's going on? I want to come to see the product. It's like, oh, it's like this, like this. You know, they keep making up excuses. And at the end, it ends up like it's a total different story. And then I learned, oh, okay, I got it. Now you have to double check everything. So in total,
you shouldn't rely on, not rely, but like totally trust anyone.
Yeah, you have to double check. Now I do background checks, man. Look, it's been 7 years I'm here. I lost around $200,000 in this type of situations. I've tried to get a job at the foreign ministry for my younger brother. I paid somebody around $7,000. He disappeared. The thing is, he met me. The story is so stupid because I went with the money. I was like, hey, so what's going on? How are we gonna do this? He came outside with his 4 kids, you know, with the nice Mercedes. It was a new big SUV, and he was dressed good, and he was all about the religion. He was keep saying all these religious words when he talks. He was like, oh man, you can trust this guy, definitely. There we go, $7K. Get him a job. I was like, all right, sure. He disappeared. It turns out nothing is his. Even the kids, man. Yeah. He rented the house, rented the car. The kids, I don't know whose kids were like were they. Yeah, probably rented them. Yeah. And then I found out after a few years that he's in jail now. So
damn.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That's crazy. So there's stuff like this. It's actually I had a lot of stories like this, but in total, you know, I lost around 200,000. Some stores I don't even want to go there. The last crazy one was in 2019. Yeah, I was in debt for around 120K. That was the biggest one, $120K. Yeah, I had to sell my car. I had to sell a lot of stuff. I had to use part of the money from my apartment. So, but now I'm good. You know, I'm good. But from 19 was the last one. That was I hope that was the last lesson, because at the last point I was looking at the sky, you know, I was like, God, like, you know, what the hell is going on? I'm trying to survive, man. You keep taking my money. Why you keep sending me these people? Now I pray in a different way. I say, please God, if he's not my person or whatever, if I don't need him, if I don't need this business, please don't let it come near me. Just, you know, let go. You know me. You know, I'll agree. I'm a nice guy. I think we fulfilled your subjects that you keep us. I don't know why Madi is keeping us in the dark.
It's actually pretty interesting, since our topic today was the impressions and the experience that we got living in foreign country or comparing two countries, two different cultures and so on. So it's pretty interesting. I hope to see you soon in the next episode. See you soon, guys.
Yeah. See you soon, everyone. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Peace.
Bye.